watching ESC Fan TV.
Hello, it's Saturday night and the first of many Saturday nights. Come on, don't lie, you were there, tuned into Norwegian TV. Of course you were. We all were. It didn't matter whether you were in Norway or not, did it? We've got a fantastic panel ready to give their opinions on tonight's massive Norway heat, which I think we can safely say our poll last night just didn't even come close, really, to predicting the winner of. Now, click the like, click the subscribe buttons. Keep in touch with us during the show. Ask the panel questions if you want. Ask them what they thought. We'd love to hear from you. In the chat room today, we've kind of done a switch around. It's my lovely co-host. It's Stu. Hey, Stu.
Hey, Tom. Hey, yeah, good to see you back. We missed you last night.
Yeah, I'm still recovering from that kind of COVID thing. It's fine. We push it to one side. It comes, it goes, and everything else. But energized by a fantastic Norwegian show. Now, I'm going to run around the panel very quickly just to introduce themselves. I could get them to give us a wave, but do you know what? Let's do it properly. Let's say a massive hello to our Norwegian-phile. It's Joe.
Hello, god kveld, everyone.
A big hello to Elina.
Putting me off mute. Hello, good evening.
Hey, Elina. Massive hello to Nicholas.
Good evening, everyone.
Massive hello to Ian and Donna.
Hello, everyone.
Big hello to Martin.
Hi, everyone.
Massive hello to Steve.
Hiya.
And obviously, our massive Norway supporter in the room, obviously, because he's from wrong way, Steve. That way. No, that way. Oh, hello to Morten.
Hello.
Oh, and I, do you know what? I bet you've had the absolute time of your life this evening watching that, and especially knowing you've got weeks of it still to come as well.
The show was absolutely amazing, and you can see that they have really put their heart and soul into the production and the songs this year, and I can't wait for many more weeks to come.
Yeah, the production values have clearly gone up, I think, from last year. And, you know, also the stage was bigger. Well, of course it could afford to be because there was no audience, which I think was also a massive plus point. Now, let's dive straight in, guys. Duel 1 was between Elevate, Stina, and Playing with Fire, sung by BD Bell. Let's go straight to Alina. What did you think of Elevate's performance?
I really liked Elevate. It was like I expected. Like the dancers were a bit too much for me, and I thought she would go to the final, but she didn't. Like, yeah.
Oh, it was close. It was close. I think we can say it was close. Martin, now I know you were a fan of this one as well. What was your take on the performance? Do you reckon she should have gone to the final, maybe?
Yes, I mean, for a start, it was nice that somebody was wearing white and a light color because everybody was in dark, and the studio, that was the only criticism I had of the whole production, was it was very dark. I know that they had all the light effects going on, but I think any other artists from the other semi-finals looking, maybe some of them wear slightly lighter things. But anyway, she did the best thing she could have done, which was stand there and sing. When in the sort of gold, well, the semi-final final, so to speak, she actually seemed to get more confident. She seemed to sing better as well. And the dancers weren't too bad, actually, as contemporary dancers go, because normally I really hate contemporary dancers wafting around everyone. They actually did work really well. And I thought it was going to go through to the final. She definitely deserved to win the duel anyway. Even though people talk about BD Bell, BD Bell did sing pretty well, But I think Stina deserved to get through to at least the final tonight anyway.
Now I can see Donna's nodding her head a lot there. Go on, Donna, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I really liked this one when I'd listened to it yesterday, and I thought she did have, like Martin said, quite a little bit of nerves at the beginning. Even without an audience, it was a bit, but great performance, and it was exactly how I thought it would be staged. And yeah, we did have the wafty dancers, but I thought that actually worked quite well. It gave me sort of Lucy Jones vibes at times, and then little bits of like only teardrops and stuff, and she was there barefoot and floaty. It was nice, really nice. So she definitely deserved to get to the final and win the duel against Beady Belle, who did have, she went up in my estimation though as well. Her performance was very good. But no, I was sad that she didn't go through to the final, though.
Oh, well, that's the thing. But she could be a wild card. This is the thing. She could be a wild card. Now, guys, you've heard some opinions on song number 1. Maybe you think song number 1, Elevate, should have qualified. We're actually polling you again this evening. Go to menti.com, 65, 53, 24. Okay, it's running across the bottom of the screen, or should I say like that? I still haven't got the hang of this directional thing. I'm sure it'll come back to me. Go along and vote, and we're going to reveal the results at the end of the show. Stu, what's going on in the chat room?
It's all kicking off in the chat room, Tom. At the moment, everyone is talking about Stina and Beady Belle, and the general opinion is that Stina definitely should have qualified for tonight's final duel, Tom. Just to re-emphasize what Tom's just said, we are having this live poll. Do go to menti.com and tell us who you think should have qualified. Just a reminder that last night the chat room chose Yawn, Tom. 47% of the vote chose Yawn, who went out in the very first round. What does that say about the ESC Fan TV chatter that's going on in our chat room?
Well,
we'll come to that shortly.
Yeah, we'll find out. Now, let's wrap up some conversation on Stina and go across to Morten. How do you think the performance compared to the studio version?
Well, the performance I was very impressed with the dress and the dancers and the staging. I thought that was really impressive, but I couldn't really get the vocals. I don't think she got the vocals right, and I think that like didn't help her out exactly, to be fair. And because if I heard nerves, and I heard like she was maybe not as confident as the other artists like Beady Belle and Jorn, because they are much more experienced than her, of course. But the staging was good, and except for the voice, I think it was better live than the studio. But she deserved to win the duel against Beady Belle, though.
Hey, and your hat has become the topic of conversation in the chat room. Bendelbear just said, "Morten, I want that hat," and then Nicholas has chipped in with Morten's hat always gets 12 points. There we go.
The hat is very happy about that.
Hey, I like that. It lights up as well. That's brilliant. Yeah. That's amazing. Now, obviously, we've already talked about the loser of Duel 1. It was poor Beady Belle with Playing With Fire. I did quip in the chat room last night that, Paula and Ovi were the only people that should be playing with fire. Test out your Eurovision knowledge for that one, folks. Now, Nicholas, was it me, or did she borrow Sergei's mirrors?
Yes, but they certainly did not look very flattering. I think whatever was going on there, especially at the side mirror, it was just like, I don't know, should have maybe looked into that. I kind of liked this song actually going into it, and I think the staging was fine, but for some reason or another, it just kind of fell flat for me in the end. The vocals were great, but it just didn't have that a thing, that it takes to move on. And I think Stina's song is just a better production overall, and I think that's why that went through instead.
It's an interesting comment, isn't it? I mean, I know I was discussing with Joe during the actual show, and we thought it could have been a close run thing. Joe, talk to us about that.
Yeah, It could have been, because I think she sang better than Stina did. There's just absolutely no doubt about that. Stina's vocals were pretty shoddy. I think not shoddy, but not as good. A bit ropey in the first and in the duel. But the only thing that put me off with Beady Bell is I really didn't like that tracksuit. I just didn't. But the rest of the staging, I thought, with the dancers, I thought she actually used them really well. And the mirrors didn't affect me either. I thought they were great. So yeah, I think if the tracks had been slightly better, or a slightly better costume, then personally, she would have absolutely gone head over here, over Stina, if I'm really honest. And I did vote for her to win over Stina in the duel.
Gasps of shock echoing round. Steve, what did you think of Beady Bell's performance?
I agree with Joe. I thought it's a really good, polished, professional performance, and I imagine she's got a bit of a kind of a jazz background in there somewhere, because it's a very kind of jazzy performance. I thought the tracksuit was chavtastic, absolutely chavtastic. And but I agree, the mirrors didn't actually pay any particular compliments to her whatsoever. And I think you have to be very, very confident if you're going to work with so many mirrors. But I thought it was an utterly good vocal. It was on point, and there was that little kind of what I call a tornero moment where she does that up and down thingy, and I found that a bit off-putting, to be honest. I thought it was a bit unnecessary, but I thought the vocals were on point. And the experience showed through, whereas Stina really struggled, I think, on the low notes. They were too breathy. Her breathing was very good, Beady Bell. Good professional singer, obviously lots of experience, lots of miles on the clock.
Now, do you know what? I've got a final question to ask the panel about Duel 1. Did the right song qualify? Did the right song go through? I think I know where we're heading with this, but I'm just looking at the thing. I'll tell you what, panel, just nod your head or shake your head if you think. I think this is going to turn you all into Churchill dogs. Or I'm seeing lots of nods. I think Stina has won that in the eyes of our panel. Stu, what did you think?
Can I just say, poor old Beady Bell was fourth place last night in our poll. And it was pretty clear going into this duel that she was the outsider. I gotta say, I thought her staging was absolutely outstanding, and I think, in fairness, all four of the competitors tonight were outstanding in their performances. I think overall, though, Stina just shaded it, and yeah, probably deserved it. Tom, good vocal, and her time will come again. She's young, she's got a great vocal, great stage presence. Yeah, we'll see her again in MGP, no doubt. Maybe see her again in a few weeks. Who knows?
Oh, well, fingers crossed. She might be a wild card. Now, don't forget, guys, to comment away in the chat room. I'm noticing we've already had the Morton's hat appreciation. I noticed Nicholas has now put a hat on as well, I think.
We did have a comment in the chat. We had a comment in the chat, Tom, about hats, and we should all be wearing hats. If only I wore one, I would go and get one, but I don't have a hat. Nothing would sit on top of this, let me tell you.
Really?
Yeah.
That's only because there's so much product in it, mate.
And the same for you as well. I think it would kind of probably sit on top of the hair at the moment.
Yeah, that's only, yeah. What's left of it anyway. Now, moving on to Duel 2. Now, Duel 2 was Faith Bloody Faith against Let Loose. What a duel. I don't know. Right, I'm going to throw this out. Stu, let's come to you, because I feel like I've not really asked you a lot yet. Do you think this should have been the actual final as opposed to the actual duel?
No, I think we got the right final.
Yeah.
I think on paper, Jorn probably was going to win tonight, but I didn't think his performance was up to it. I didn't think it was that good, and I thought it was the weakest of the four by quite some distance, actually. And I love a rock and metal song, as does Joe and as does many others. And listening to the full songs last night was pretty clear. Yawn was way ahead, but yeah, it just didn't cut it for me. And I would have gone the final as was Stina versus Blast Mafia, and I thought it was the right final. And I felt that Blast Mafia deservedly beat Yawn in that semi-final.
Okay, let's see what the rest of the panel think. Let's start off with Martin. Yawn, what did we think on the performance?
Well, it's always nice in the national final to have a bit of a laugh, really. It was the start was great. Pyros, it's a good venue for a band. And then it was just so many cliches. I mean, I'm a great lover of Spinal Tap. This was almost like the Norwegian version. And I mean, he looks a bit like Bill Nye. He's got the devil's horns. He's dressed like a country and western singer while the rest are dressed like Game of Thrones. There was that Persian rug thing going on. And writhing women. It just was so bizarre. And as I say, in the actual studio version, yeah, a decent song, but just watching it, I was just thinking, oh my God. And for me, it was the worst one of the night, unfortunately.
Interesting. I'm going to go to Morton. Let's get your take on that. Was it the worst one of the night?
I don't think it was the worst of the night. I think Biribel was still worse, but his voice is amazing, of course, and the way he hits the notes and while still being like excited. But it was weird because he has so much experience, and I think he still lacked like stage presence. It didn't look like he was so comfortable on stage, and with all these things going on, like the flying carpet and the girls dancing, and I wasn't quite sure what the staging was, and I couldn't really connect with it either. So I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but it was always cool. It's finally good to have rock back in Melodi Grand Prix again, and of course they have a chance to still go through the final via wildcard, so there's still a chance for them, and I don't think they should lose hope yet.
And Nicholas, now obviously being from Denmark, last year's Danish final was didn't have an audience in the end, but do you think that Faith Bloody Faith was a good example of what TV broadcasters can do in these national finals without audiences that actually might give us a better impression of what this might look like on a stage in Rotterdam, or even just the stage in their own country if they have to pre-film the performances?
Yeah, it definitely feels like what they're doing here is really like putting into the staging and doing something that they know would work for a Eurovision audience as well. Because let's face it, if we are going to go with scenario D, then it'll most likely be a performance. I think NRK has even said that the performance will be recorded on the same stage. So definitely it's going to give us a bigger show. There's more room to do these things. But what it does lack then is the whole, like, with having to perform in front of an audience. You don't get that chance. And I think for someone like Jon here, who's so experienced in performing in front of an audience, maybe this just isn't the thing for him. Maybe it felt a bit weird not having, something to look into. I can't say that word, but you basically are just looking into a bunch of TV cameras and then just like blackness. And I think that does mean that for some it is hard to find that stage presence. That being said, I think had this been in the other duel, this would have been in the final duel. I think this one and Blaze Mafian was definitely the best two out of the bunch this evening.
Hey, now, do you know what? Every time I'm looking at the panel and I just see every so often a comment's made and Donna's head just goes like this. And I just take that as a cue just to go across to Ian and Donna.
Go on, Ian.
I'd go to say, actually, yeah, Jorn's performance was a little bit down. It was odd. It didn't need the fripperies for the dancers and the other stuff. The drums, there must be drums moment with the burning stuff. Yeah, it didn't need it. It should have just been shot as a straightforward rock performance, much more into the band, because they played live. Which is
impressive.
Yeah. There was playing some backing, but that was a live performance, which is great. We wouldn't be able to do that at Eurovision. It's a problem that Bless Mafia will hit as well. But but it should have just been a straightforward rock song film it like that, light it like that, it just lost the impact. And he's very much a live singer.
Yes,
And
I think
he's used to working with an audience.
Yeah, I think that what Nicholas said, the audience will have been a kicker for him completely. Although I agree with Martin a little bit, though. He reminded me, as Johnny Logan has to an extent, become a little bit of a parody of himself. You know, he's had this huge career, and in a Spinal Tap kind of way, he could have actually cheesed it up to 11 even. But no, it lacked something for me. They overkilled it, I think. They over-egged the production with it, and it fell flat. I still think it's my favourite song, but on stage, no.
Yeah, same mistake they made with Waylon's song, Outlawing Them.
Yeah.
They took a straightforward country rock song, which the live video of the band playing, it was great, and then tried
Added
to make
the
something
extra
fancy out of it
yeah.
and completely trashed it.
Now, Stu, what's the chat room saying about all of this?
Well, the chat room's agreeing that Blasmarfian deservedly beat Yawn tonight. And just picking up on Ian O'Donnell's point, when you talk about Johnny Logan, can we reflect on Ialina's fantastic point last night on the show that Yawn looks like Johnny Logan? And just in case anyone isn't convinced, I think that's close enough, don't we think?
I see it.
I see it too.
I was going to say, Alina's got her hand up as well. That's brilliant. Now, obviously, the act to talk about, I think, aside from the obvious, a certain act beginning with K, who might or may not be on Joe's t-shirt at this point in time, is obviously Blasmuthman, because they were the ones that actually, spoiler alert, took away that golden ticket to the final in February. Let's start off with, well, in actual fact, Stu, I do believe we had almost like a performance of someone who, like a Norwegian, who really, really enjoyed that performance, didn't we, somewhere?
We did, yeah. So I got sent this halfway through their performance, and let's see if you enjoyed it almost as much as I did. Having said that, Tom, nothing compared to this performance of Blasmarfian on the night. Oh wait, sorry, that's Moldova from a few years ago. I got them confused.
How easy it can be. It can be. Do you know what, Morten? I did hear. I did notice a few tears maybe in the eyes as well during that dancing.
Well, when it comes to this song live, like an hour or two ago, what can you say about it? It just hit me straight into the heart, and I didn't know what to expect from the staging and what to expect when they were going to play it live, because I thought, like, okay, there are 3 instruments they're playing live, how can this sound good? But they had like the backing track, and they played another key of the song, and they played like so well together, and I just can't describe the emotions flowing through my body when they performed, and they just lifted my expectation from like here to way up here, and they deserved so much to win over Jordan. And when they went through to the golden final against Stina, I was like, they are going to win, because if they win against Jordan, they're winning against Stina easy. So it was an amazing performance by Blasmarfian, and after today's performance, I think they are better than KEiiNO as well. I have to be honest.
Oh, now do you know what? I'm gonna bank that question. I think. Well, in actual fact, I think I might, because it's a controversial question. Well, when Stu goes through the auto finalists in a moment, I'm going to get Stu to ask that question. So I'm just going to kind of bank that just there. Now, someone who I know was ready to be converted, shall I say, from Yawn to Blasmuthman. Let's go to our lovely Joe. What did you make of this performance?
I was converted, and you know I love a good old rock music, and I thought Yawn were great. I just didn't like with their performance. It went from amazing to like not so good in about 10 seconds. You know, they threw everything into the first 10-20 seconds. But these guys, I mean, gosh, I mean, yeah, we all think epic sax guy, we all think all's over, but I said yesterday, didn't I? All they had to do was to throw the sax into it and get on with it and really enjoy the performance, and did they? They really did. And Hazel's vocals were on point, which was fabulous, because if they hadn't been so good, then it didn't matter how well the guys had played, it just wouldn't have come across. So her singing was amazing, and then that staging, I mean, it was just outstanding. The best staging of the night, without a shadow of a doubt. And they got my vote. They really did.
Hey, now, Alina, what did you make of the? Let's talk about the staging a little bit, because obviously, I don't know about you, but they came on, they're playing their saxophones, and then all of a sudden she starts singing. But I'm like, where is she? I mean, what did you make of all of that at the time?
I had like a flashback of shoot, how does he call Robin, the Swedish guy, like on the roller, the
yeah.
Robin Bengtsson.
Flashback. Yes, thank
Nicholas
you.
got it.
I had like a flashback moment, but for me, I liked it. It just could be only Blas Mafian, and it would be okay for me, like on the staging. Like that was good for me.
Now, Annie Jo said it was amazing if only they allowed live instruments on the ESC stage. Now, I have a question for the panel. Obviously, this relies on live instruments. If they film it in their home country, in a TV studio, for example, is there anything stopping them from using live instruments aside from the rules, maybe? I don't know. Steve, I'm going to go over to you.
I wouldn't thought so, actually. I think that sort of song, if it doesn't have a kind of a live kind of background performance, if you like, or instrumental performance, it takes something out of it, and it can sound quite bland. If that went to the final without actually something live to back up the vocals, I don't think that's so good. I think songs have suffered like that before, in the same way that some songs suffered with an orchestration that wasn't as modern as the backing track in the past. So I think it would make for a weaker entry if they had to do that, to be honest.
Okay, do you know what? Because I know they have their background in all things live and wonderful, I'm gonna go to Ian and Donna on this as well.
Yeah, so as far as I'm aware, the ESC rules would forbid it. They would have to allow it for everybody. The performances, I think, will be under the remote, because essentially the remote, if they record them at their home studio in the home country, it's essentially to replicate what would be happening live, because it's largely there as a backup plan. So it has to be. I think the rules will be the same conditions for the performance, same number of performers on stage, vocals, etc. I don't think we're able to change it. It's a shame. I think they will if they do go through, they will probably re-record it with the live brass more prominent in the track, because it's very prominent at the start, and then it sits back for the choruses and the recorded version, and it's much more processed and synth driven. I think they'll redo the song with a much more prominent, drier brass sound in it to make it sound more live.
And just coming to you, Martin, do you think that the rules should be changed? There we go. Do you think the rules should be changed if you can have pre-recorded vocals now as well as live vocals, as many as you want? Should there not be, given the fact it's a song contest, it's about a celebration of music, should this not be something that Eurovision embraces, the ability of potential contestants to actually create the live music on stage?
We all know that that's not going to ever happen, because if they're going down the pre-recorded backing vocals, and I suspect most of us are probably thinking it's not going to be just for this year, it's going to be for good. They're not going to suddenly let the live instruments come back in, but just purely for practicalities, you can't plug in guitars and keyboards and put live drums all in place in 45 seconds, because we've been to Eurovision and seen how quickly the stagehands have to put everything round. And if a classically trained flautist can't even take a flute on and play, so yeah, nice idea, but it's not going to work with 41 different acts, So yeah, I'm being a realist here.
I was enjoying my trip to Fantasyland, to be fair. Now, guys, if you disagree, or even if you do agree with tonight's result, go and vote in our live poll. It's menti.com. It's running along the bottom of the screen. It's 65, 53, 24. Go on there. Let us know which act you think deserved to get that golden ticket. We know it went to Blasmuffen, but did you? Let us know. Now, Stu, over to you.
Thanks, Tom. Let's talk now about the two pre-qualified songs of the evening, which is actually why people are tuning in tonight, because they want to hear about the K word, and we'll get to that very shortly. But before we do that, let's talk about Tix, because I think this song might divide opinion. So last night on the show, there was some divided opinions about this, but I think, given the feedback that we've had so far from the Norway fans via the NRK website and the vote they've been doing, I'm kind of keen to understand where this sits, because what we must remember is that Tix is a huge star, and of his last 9 singles in Norway, 3 of them have gone directly to #1, and 7 of the 10 have made the top 10. So this guy is no slouch. Vocally, he was on point this evening. We'll get to the staging in a minute, because I'm sure there's lots of people got lots to say about that. But what are we currently thinking about this song? And it's obviously in the final, but does it stand a chance up against the 2 songs that have already qualified, with KEiiNO and with Blasmuffen? I'm going to ignore that comment, because that was deliberately designed to throw me off. Yeah, I won't say what I actually feel. Morten, let's bring you in. Let's bring Morten in. So what's the tea on this song since tonight's performance? Because fair to say, it's a little bit divided, isn't it, in terms of whether people like it. Some people like it, some people just absolutely detest it. What's the feeling?
Well, of course there are some people like at our side that some people love it and think it's so good live and are gonna vote for this in the final, and of course there are some people that really don't like this at all, and NRK gave this a 1, or not NRK, but a man reviewing the song for NRK gave this a 1 out of 6. So of course this is splitting people from loving it to hating it. Personally, I think it was really good live, and I love the staging with the wings, and for the lyrics and his previous songs as well, it really fits in with the staging, and he really hit those vocals live as well. So I don't think you should count him off yet, at least, because he has great chances. But there are a lot of Norwegians who actually don't like Norwegians singing in Norwegian, because they don't think they stand a chance in Eurovision, of course, when they sing in their native language. So I don't know, but I don't think we should count him off yet, because it was a great it is a great song, and it was a great performance tonight.
Thank you, Morten. Joe, let's bring you in on this. We talked about this last night. What are your thoughts on this, having seen it live? Do you think it stands a chance?
I don't, unfortunately, unless he's got so many fans that he wins on that basis. I mean, I thought his singing was great. I don't dislike the song at all. I actually think it's nice to me. It's the middle of the road nice, but it's, for me, it's not got a wow factor. And I just absolutely detested what he was wearing, the wings and the coat, the really long coat that you could trip over. Not a fan of fur coats anyway, so I think in my mind straight away I'm thinking, even if it's fake, I'm like, yeah, I hate it. So, and I know I got put off. I remember actually thinking, oh, this is time to go and top my drink up. I really didn't see the performance all the way through, because it lost me about halfway through. So no, sadly, I don't think he's got a chance.
I thought the actual staging was pretty understated, to tell you the truth. Let's just remind ourselves of the performance. So I mean, when you sort of look at that and you're thinking, well, you know, they've set a pretty low bar there with staging. I mean, how the hell do you kind of elevate that? Obviously, I'm joking. I mean, they threw everything bar the kitchen sink at this. Alina, let's bring you in on this discussion. What did you think of this, and how do they? Given what you've heard tonight from some of the panelists, how does Tix elevate this in the final? Because he's got plenty of weeks to think about his performance and his staging. What has he got to do to stand a chance?
Lose the costume. For me, I liked the song and I liked the fact that it was in Norwegian. And as I was just watching Eurovision, I would vote for the song because it's in Norwegian. I like it when they go back to their language, but as a performance, I didn't like it. Like, I understand it, but I don't like it. And honestly, I don't know how they could do it better. No, yeah, it got me lost.
So I think it's fair to say the panel are a little bit undecided on whether this can be successful or not. So I think we're going to have to wait and see. Tix has got 4 or 5 weeks to really get this mastered. He's got time to rethink the whole thing. The song's pretty good. If you take the song in isolation, it's a good song. It's nice to listen to. He sings it well. He's a great singer with a great pedigree. Steve's shaking his head. He doesn't agree. Let's bring Steve in.
I just thought it was a bit bland, to be honest. And I think... I suppose it could win Melodi Grand Prix if he's got a huge fan base, but I wouldn't see this coming out the semis, whatever he does to it, because it just didn't. I've heard it a few times now, and it hasn't landed with me. But we'll talk about the one that has landed with me a little bit later.
Well, we're going to talk about the K word now, I think. We're going to move on. So, KEiiNO are back. Let's talk about KEiiNO. We talked about it for a long time last night. If you haven't watched last night's show, I recommend you do. We got into a lot of debate about KEiiNO. So KEiiNO tonight, let's remind ourselves of that absolutely phenomenal band. There they are on stage live tonight. Alexandra Rotan, as predictable as ever, the best vocal you'll ever hear in your life. World-class vocal. Fred doing what Fred does best. As a trio, they harmonise incredibly. They really are absolutely phenomenal. I felt that vocally they were on point tonight. One criticism I would probably label at KEiiNO is tonight I didn't feel they had the best visual spectacular. So how do they kind of improve upon that? They've got time to think about it. And I imagine on a Eurovision stage, they would have a lot more opportunity to do what they want to do. I mean, I saw people talking about raising pillars to represent monuments and kind of raising them up a bit like the video. So I'm keen to understand what the panel think. Let's start with Ian and Donna. Let's get your views now. And those in the chat room, we want to really hear your comments on this. Tell us what you think and how KEiiNO can KEiiNO elevate their own performance, or do we think it's as great as it's ever going to be? Ian and Donna, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it does. The stage needs a wee bit of a lift. It was very. They've always taken a artistic choice. It was very black and white in the lighting. There was not much there, and there's no, because the LED is only on the floor for their production there. It's not a major part of the look. It's not. Previous years there's been LED behind. Spirit in the Sky at Tel Aviv had a huge visual backing on it as well, which looked fantastic. This made it very stark, very cold. So I think that probably needs a bit of tweaking up performance-wise, though. Absolutely nailed it.
The costumes, though, kind of reflected that kind of light and shadowiness as well. You know, you've got your two-tone outfits as well with this teal and grey look. It's very stark. It reminded me a lot of Sara Alto when she performed as well, but not quite so, like, Nazi. It obviously is a big statement they're choosing to go for. I'm not quite gelling with it, so I don't know if those costumes or outfits would actually work. with the song in the end. But yes, definitely if they're able to use a kind of video wall as well to have that bigger historical sort of visual to it, to bring out the sort of grandness of the history in the song, I think that might work a bit better. But vocally, just so good. And Fred, get down with the rapping.
So
Love
good,
Fred.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So good. Nicholas, now listen, this is Spirit in the Sky raised a bar or two, even higher than normal. What have they got to do to elevate themselves to potential Eurovision winners?
They gotta figure out how to do staging. That's for sure. It's been an interesting week for me because I'm usually, not the biggest KEiiNO fan in the world. And then I heard the song and was completely blown away because I think this song does exactly what they are setting out to do, making a song that doesn't only appeal to like the KEiiNO super fans, but actually appeals to a general audience. The production in this song is fantastic. The vocals are absolutely fantastic. There's nothing wrong with this song, in my opinion. I think it's great. But for some reason, I had the exact same feeling when they won MGP with Spirit in the Sky, is that the staging just isn't there. And I don't understand what it is, because these three are so good friends. They go so well together. They fit perfectly together. Yet when they are up there on the stage, for me at least, it just feels like they have absolutely no chemistry. They don't work with each other. They are just like, then there's one artist, then there's the other, and there's the third one. And I don't understand if it's in Arcane that are maybe holding something back, because they are not wanting to show everything. So they have like this grand show when it comes to the final, or what it is. But I just think the song ultimately lacks like that kind of oomph feel, because the song is fantastic, but the staging is what lacks that kind of oomph feel. And I think I could be, I don't know if worried is the right word, but I could kind of feel like, maybe some of the other songs that we've seen tonight that has like this like whole package where the staging and the song just kind of fits perfectly together. I fear that this might get like less points because of that and may not actually end up winning. Because I think as a song, Monument is fantastic. It has a great message, and I think this really could be something great, but they need to elevate that staging just do something about it. I will say, however, I did like their outfits. I thought they were nice, and the vocals were probably the best of the night, so they did something right.
Oh, they were phenomenal. Their vocals was on point. As always, you'd expect that from KEiiNO. Never ever heard them off. Steve, KEiiNO, how did this come across to you?
Came across really well, actually. I love the outfits tonight. I accept that it was too, it's kind of grey against black. And that probably is not the kind of the ultimate performance you want to portray. But I'm sure this is going to be a camper than a row of tents by the time it's got through to its final presentation. There will be, Egyptians, monuments, everything, the seven wonders of the world. There's lots of there's lots of potential to camp this up ad infinitum. And I'm sure this is not how we're going to see the performance at the Melodi Grand Prix. But that high note that Alexandra did was just so good. She is such a good singer. And the harmonies were just, I thought it was the best performance on the night. It's a really catchy song. And I think what the danger is, we don't know whether it's going to win at this stage because we haven't heard the vast majority of these songs. But it's the one to beat at the moment for me.
Thank you, Steve. It's funny, though, because we talked about this last night. And it's fair to say that you can't count off any of the songs because it's such a long process. And as we found out tonight, Yawn was the absolute favourite to go through, and it's Bus Mafia that we're all talking about. Alina, just give me a quick comment on KEiiNO. How did it come across to you?
Maybe I'm the only one, but I loved everything. Like, this was better than Spirit in the Sky for me, and I was like a huge fan of Spirit in the Sky. It almost got me to cry. I loved it. 10 out of 10. No, 12 out of 10.
12 out of 10. Can't get better than that. And Morten, what's the view in Norway at the moment based on the 6 songs that were heard tonight and the 3 finalists?
Well, when it comes first to KEiiNO's song and staging, it feels like a lot of Norwegians really like it. But there are also a lot of Norwegians who feel disappointed of the staging and how they performed it tonight. And and I have to agree with the disappointed people, because I got really disappointed tonight, and I even texted a few of my friends watching Melodi Grand Prix tonight with me. We were like, okay, now it's KEiiNO, see you in 3 minutes, and then we heard it, and I texted everyone. I was like, I'm disappointed, and they were like, I'm disappointed, and there's something lacking. I like the chemistry Nicholas talked about. Alexandra's voice is amazing, of course, and the high note and everything, but I feel like from the first verse and chorus, that's good, and the last after the high note and out, it was good, but a big part in the middle, like I didn't connect, and I didn't feel anything, and I think they were like chaos with people going here and watching there and the cameras everywhere, and I personally didn't think this was a great performance live, and as you know, I like this song better than Spirit in the Sky, so I'm really disappointed. And of course they can't change their staging and their costumes to the final as they some did last year, so I hope they do, and I hope they listen to the critics, but also there were good parts as well, so kudos to them, but there are still improvements to be haven't given.
For sure. One thing though we have learned over the years is you should never listen to Eurovision fans and for critique, because let's face it, Eurovision fans will destroy a song. They'll absolutely destroy a song. There's been so many times songs have changed. I'm thinking of Benny Cristo last year or the year before. Poor guy, that song was destroyed by fans' critique. Having said that, what you can't change is you can't polish a bad song. You can only change a performance. If you can sing live, you've got a great song. The absolute basics are there, and the basics are there for KEiiNO to potentially win MGP. But a long way to go, as Steve quite rightly says. Tom, coming back to you for the chat room. What's the chatter, my friend?
Oh my goodness, there are so many people commenting away. So let's scroll all the way up to the top. Ivor says, I've listened to KEiiNO's Monument over 70 times now since they released the song. I was happy to see the live performance tonight. They'll get my vote for sure. Milana, who was on last night's show, amazing, spectacular, show-stopping, never the same, totally unique. Diana says Fred gave her goosebumps. Annie Jo said they are super, great performance, great chemistry. They were a bit in the dark, light colours, and I have to say this is something I'd quite like the panel's views on, because random Danish guy says, I kind of wanted it to be happier. In these dark times, it could be amazing to perform it with colours and real chemistry. And do you know what? I'd be interested to see what the panel think. Do they think that the staging would be I mean, if we look at the promo photo, they have like the Northern Lights behind them. I think would lighting like that, for example, do something for the staging? There we go. I'm gonna, Stu, you can pass that over to the panel as well. Lots of people agreeing with Alina's comments. We've got Alina, yes. Here, Alina. Loving Alina, can't agree more. And Alina, my favourite niece, I agree. There we go.
All you've got to do is say KEiiNO are the best ever, and the chat room come a running. That's all it takes.
I was going to say it's a wash with support, Stu.
Fabulous.
I will just quickly, if I can, I will just quickly make a point on the whole thing with the light. I think it was like Martin said. It was just a very dark show in general. I think, you know, the stage not having a lot of LEDs and everything means that there isn't a lot you can really do to make it a lighter performance. It will be this like dark aesthetic because that is what MGP is. That's how they've built the set. So I think it is difficult in this kind of setting to make it any brighter. I think, yes, outfits and all could definitely do it, but you can also make something that's just like so bright it becomes a bit too camp. So I think it's a difficult road to go down when you don't have an LED you can rely on, because obviously there is a big difference. Spirit in the Sky looks very dark if you look at the MGP performance, and then when you look at it at Eurovision, it really lights up. So I think it could be down to just like the stage that NRK has built.
Yeah, do you know what it can be? I mean, I was as you may remember, Nicholas, I was slightly critical of the stage that NRK built last year. Although I have to say, I absolutely love the stage this year. I've got a question for the panel and for the chat room, actually. Obviously, we now know 3 finalists. Scary percentage. There's 12 finalists. We now know, or we've now heard 25% of the finalists. So which one's rocking it the most for you? Is it Blasmuffen? Is it KEiiNO? Is it Tix? Or is it a silly question that I shouldn't have asked because you're all going to come out in favour of KEiiNO? Let's do a sweep around the panel, and I'm gonna go to Joe first.
Me first. Probably KEiiNO, followed very, very closely by Blasmuffen. There you go.
Okay, Alina.
Do you have to ask? I mean,
well, sometimes you have to ask the obvious questions as well as the tougher ones. Let's go to Nicholas.
Yeah, I think I didn't get to talk about it, but I think Tix is my favorite so far. It's the one that I feel like has like the whole package mostly so far, but I'm interested to see what the rest of them will bring. I think both the automatic qualifiers and some of the others that we'll see will have more to offer than this. So I'm excited to see where it'll go.
Okay, Ian and Donna.
Well, I kind of agree with Joe, really. KEiiNO, he's up there. I just want to see what they do with their staging. That might be a make or break for me. I love the song anyway, so that's a given. But Blasmuffen have gone up in my estimation. So, yeah, who knows? We'll see what the rest have to bring.
Okay, Martin.
Sorry,
out of the 3 we've had so far, KEiiNO by far.
Oh, do you know what? I'm going to go back to Ian because I've realised I didn't actually speak to Ian.
I think KEiiNO have it, but Blasmuffen's performance was excellent live.
Okay, Steve.
So it'll be interesting to see which one takes it.
Okay, Steve.
KEiiNO by a country mile for me at the moment, I'm afraid. I liked the one that came through the semi-final today. I didn't like the other one, I'm afraid, but KEiiNO for me.
Okay, Morten.
For me, it's a definite Blasmuffen, way further than KEiiNO at second and Tix at third, but that's all because what they did to my body today or tonight. I don't know what happened, so looking forward to that happening again in like a month's time.
Yeah, could we just get a reminder of that, please, on the screen?
No.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. It's already gone now. Morten, you're good. You're good. So the chat room seems to say KEiiNO, although I have to say I was expecting people to turn around and go, "Why are you asking such an obvious question?" Milana says, "Obviously." But Ozfrog here says, out of the 3 thus far, a close race between KEiiNO and Blasmuffen, but many variables at play. Well, interesting. Stu, what did you think?
Oh, I think KEiiNO are still well ahead. I think they're well ahead. I think Blasmuffen was the right winner tonight. But I think if you were to play the 2 of them side by side, I think KEiiNO would win. No question in my mind. I think, I want to reflect. The performance aside, vocally they were great. It's just the actual performance itself, or the kind of the staging, that was some stage. And whether that's at MGP or Eurovision, I just think we'll see something very, very different in the end. And yeah, KEiiNO by a mile. I agree with Steve.
Okay, and just to add to it, WIBM says, listen to the Norwegian, he can vote. There we go. Now, Stu, I do believe people have been voting. Back to you.
They have, yeah. So thank you to those in the chat room who have been voting. Last night, just a reminder, you voted that Yawn would qualify. Well, how wrong were you? Let's see how you've been voting this evening. We've asked you again, who did you think deserved to qualify from tonight's semi-final? And I'm pleased to say, and I doubt there's really any surprise here, the winner with 54% is Blasmuffen with Let Loose. Second place was Yawn with 25% and Stina Tallinn with 21%. And yeah, BD Bell with
Aww.
0. Bless her heart. I'm sure that's not a true representative of how things would have gone down. But there we go. There we go. Quite right. Blasmafian winning tonight's semi-final, and the chat room's popular vote as well. Tom, back at you.
Hey, so I do believe, guys, that is Norway's first heat done. It's been an absolutely fantastic evening. It's been a fantastic couple of nights, actually. I mean, I watched last night's show, obviously, from my sick bed. A fantastic show last night, previewing it. Fantastic review with you guys tonight. Do you know what? Same time next week, guys. Oh, look at the enthusiasm of the panel. It's supposed to be, yeah, come on. Oh, see, look, Morton has got it. Morton's got it nailed down to a T. Yes, we are back Friday night, 8 o'clock UK time, 9 p.m. Central European time. And we'll be back again at 9 o'clock UK time on the Saturday after the Norway show. That's 10 p.m. Central European time as well. In the meantime, can we, first of all, panel, can we give a massive wave to everyone in the chat room who's contributed? Because let's face it, some of your comments, we love to hear from you, and they've been excellent. Join us again next week. And let's go around the panel and say goodbye. Massive thanks to Joe.
Bye, everyone. See you soon.
Big thanks to Alina.
Bye-bye.
Massive thanks to Nicholas.
Bye-bye. Have a great evening, everyone.
Massive thanks to Ian and Donna.
Bye.
Cheers. Till next week.
Massive thanks to Martin.
Bye, everyone. See you again.
And don't forget, you can listen to Martin. If you love the sound of Martin's dulcet tones, it's Bradley Stoke Radio, 8 p.m. UK time, 9 p.m. Central European time. Tuesday nights, you can listen to Let Me Be the One. And I'm sure you'll be able to hear more of these Norway songs on there as well. A big thanks to Steve.
Bye, and see you next Friday.
And a massive thanks to Morton.
Goodbye. See you next week with fun new songs. Woo!
Hey, and think you can now spend your evening dancing around without the, how can we put this? The public spectacle of your dancing being displayed for everyone to see on YouTube.
I can assure you that that will never happen again, and you will never see something like that again from my part. So thank you.
Until next week. And also a massive thanks to my co-host, Stu.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Good to see you back. I'm delighted that you're fit and healthy again, or ish, and back with us on ESC Fan TV. Next week's going to be fab, guys. Make sure you tune in Friday and Saturday night. Friday night, 9 p.m. Central European time. Saturday night, 10 p.m. Central European time. We're going to do more of this, and you don't want to miss that, let's be honest.
Hey, and we'll see you all next week, guys. Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, we're KEiiNO, and you're watching ESC Fan TV.